Monk, your books are good, but they're not popular. Editors, they want a black book.
They have a black book. I'm black, and it's my book.
You know what I mean.
I'm going to start off by saying that I did enjoy the film. I enjoyed the film quite immensely. Jeffrey Wright, he's playing a man by the name of Monk.
He's a professor, but he is getting a little antsy and a little upset and a little stir crazy because his books haven't really been selling. He's taking it out on his class. He's written this really provocative word on the blackboard, and it's the N-word. I believe it was like part of a title of a book or something like that. And someone in the class, a white girl in the class, says, "I don't like seeing that word, written on the board." And so they have a debate over whether or not she should be offended.
He was called into the, I guess, dean office, what they call, and they have a discussion on his work. And they was like, maybe you should take a break, from all of this and go back to Boston and be with your family. He didn't even like being around his family.
And they're like, "Look, man, you need a break. I know you're about to go on vacation. How about you stay on vacation for a long time? We're not going to fire you, but just get the fuck out, okay?" Just
chill.
Yeah, and so he's really upset about this.
And then, sets off on this journey of how he feels about being a black author when he's just like, "I'm just a regular author. I just happen to be black."
Right. The reason why that first scene rubbed me the wrong way, I think he was right in his thought process that only junk seems to sell. He's very frustrated that he's writing these really high-minded, thoughtful books, but he's always being reduced down to just a black author, and that's it. He wants to be seen outside of his race, and instead of just as a black author. He's not denying that he's black. He doesn't dislike that he's black. Obviously, he loves it being black, but he says there's more to him than that, and he's frustrated that no one else can see it. And so I was like, is he going to evolve? Because you start the character here. So I'm like, where do you go? And so I was like, maybe he'll learn that being a black author isn't such a bad thing. But then I'm like, you know what? I know what this movie's about. I know that he writes a junk book, a complete bullshit book that is making a mockery out of the black community. And so I'm like, that can't be the evolution. So anyway, I was really thrown by the beginning of the film. Thankfully, I'm happy to report that the movie was smarter than me, and it took turns that I was not expecting. The fact that I didn't trust the movie, even though I knew we had a black writer and a black director, and I still didn't trust the movie because I thought a lot of the white producers would run them over.
It's kind of
it's the point of the film, right? It's kind of the point of the film. Yeah. So I really enjoyed the film more than I thought. And the movie provokes a conversation about blackness in the media, the public persona of blackness.
Yes.
They acknowledge that blackness is at its most palatable to white people when it's like a minstrelsy show, when black people are shucking and jiving, when they got listening to rap music and smoking blunts and shooting guns, and
like the scene that was in They Clone Tyrone when they was like over there eating chicken and up there twerking and stuff like that. And they were like, "What the heck?"
There is a bizarre disconnect between who black people are and who white people want us to be or believe that we are. And so I thought that was really interesting. And the movie goes much deeper into those themes than I was expecting. And I think it wisely, and I went back and forth on this too, never really gives you a nice, neat answer or a nice, neat solution to,
especially by the end,
any of these problems. And even Monk's own thoughts are not clear, because by the end of the film, Monk drives by an actor dressed as a slave. And at the beginning of the film, this would have pissed Monk off, but at the end, he just kind of like waves, He's like, hey, he just waves. And so I thought that was really interesting, and it made me think a lot about the morality of, I'm going to have to bleep this word, but the morality of cooning. And so we see a lot of coons on the internet and on YouTube.
Yeah.
A lot. It is insane how many people coon on the internet. And for those who aren't sure what that word means,
along with Uncle Tom and all those other terms, has for longer than not been used to identify and sanction black people doing the bidding of white supremacy. There has never been a shortage of black people since slavery more than willing to sell out their blackness and do harm to other black people for the approval of white people, whether it be those who peddle harmful images for the entertainment of whites or exploiting other blacks for their own personal gain.
And whether or not that person is even consciously aware that that's what they're doing is like unclear. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Sometimes it is unclear if they know. Right. But this movie kind of challenges the morality of that. My thought and my instinct, which is Jeffrey Wright's instinct, is that this is wrong. There is nothing good about doing that. It is completely reductive, hurts people, hurts the black community, hurts the people who actually make this kind of content. I think Jeffrey Wright's character realized, because he starts, right? He writes a book about black people doing bad shit, and it blows up. And I think he realizes that his position that appeasing white people is bad. I think he realizes that's a position of privilege, that not everybody can afford to do that, which is a very complex and hard thing to even think about. If you need money, and our character, he's very rich. He's not very rich. Some say he's very rich, but he's well off. You know, he comes from a family of doctors and all that stuff. But you know, hit after hit after hit comes, and he needs money. And when his back is against the wall, it would appear his principles changed, or maybe his principles just revealed themselves. And it's that not everyone has that privilege to stand on their principles and be broke. You know what I mean? And so like I thought that was a very interesting and nuanced position for the movie to take.
His sister ends up dying from a heart attack, and her sister was taking care of their mother, who was elderly. So he's like, okay, I gotta pick up the burden of taking care of mama, because mom has dementia.
Right. And it's getting worse and worse and worse.
It's getting worse.
It's getting to the point where she can't stay home, and they've got to put her in a nursing home,
which costs a lot of money. His brother, played by Sterling K. Brown, hilarious by the way in this film, he is a surgeon. It seems like he's wrapped up in like money and issues and stuff like that, but it also seems like he's kind of selfish.
Right. He's a plastic surgeon. So he's very vain. He lives in California. He's like freaking ripped. And he has just very recently come out as gay. And this is not like a soft debut of him being gay. It is a hard launch, okay? He's straight into like threesomes with dudes. He's like, you know what? I have been living a lie my whole life, and now I am free. I am liberated, and I'm gonna do what I want. He's drinking hard, he's snorting cocaine, and you're right. At first, it does look like he's a reckless psychopath, but the movie actually reveals that he's actually living in his truth. He's being his true self. And maybe it's offensive to some people or something, you know, if you're not, you know, if you don't like the gay community, or you have real sensitive issues about doing drugs, it does look really rough, right? But in reality, he's never been happier.
No.
Now, in the movie, there's a very clear parallel between Monk and Monk's brother. In the beginning of the film, was Monk living his true identity? Was he expressing himself as truly and freely as possible? And the answer is hell no, right? Hell no, he wasn't, right? I thought that was interesting too, because it would seem that expresses itself in his art when he's writing. He does not want to be seen as a black author. He just wants to be seen as an author. And there's a scene of him taking all his books out of the African American section and moving them into the, you know, general fiction section, you know. So the movie also has like some like coming out themes, like, are you living your true self?
But he goes to this like book seminar and he sees Issa Rae's character. People are like, oh my gosh, you're one of the best writers and stuff around. And a lot of it is white people that's just hyping her up and stuff. And then when they asked her to read an excerpt, I'm like, oh my God.
He was like, what you finna do? Man, I'm about to go down to the store. And all the white people are like, oh, what a great, so beautiful, so real, so raw, you know.
Yo, Sharonda, girl, you be pregnant again? If I is, Ray Ray is gonna be a real father this time around.
And Jeffrey Wright's like, what the hell? My book's bomb, but this takes off?
And not only does it take off, it has its own section. He just managed to says, fuck it. I'm just gonna write this. And what was the original name of this script? The flop. What is it?
Was it My Philosophy? Well, I can't remember what it was called. It was written in like stereotypical, like, you know, AAV, like Ebonics type thing. Not something that Black people even like. They don't speak in this way, you know.
No, they don't.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
In this persona that he's taking, because he's taking on this persona of was it Stag? Well, I forgot what the name
Stag
of the
Lee.
artist. Stag Lee. This wanted fugitive by the FBI.
By the way, a stag is another slur for
yes.
a slave. So very interesting. He seemed completely unconscious of this, or maybe he was. I don't know.
And the way he was writing, that's the scene that I actually really enjoyed, where he was typing stuff out, and then the actors that he was typing out in the story came to life in front of him to indicate where he's typing and he doesn't know what to say. The character be like, "What do I need to say right now?"
Exactly. Or he'll be like, "Why would I say that?"
Look at my midnight black complexion. No, that's not right, huh? But what did you want to say? You can say it better than that.
Or what'd you know for? You know, he would actually converse with his characters.
Which I think that's very cool and creative.
But even more than cool and creative, it reveals, I think, the thesis of the movie. The scene that he wrote and the scene that we got to see was a father and son confronting each other, right? And the son was like, "You've never been there for me, and I'm not gonna listen. I never listened to you before. I'm not gonna listen to you now." Bang bang, and he shoots his father, right?
Right.
But then we learned that this is almost identical to Monk's actual relationship with his father. Now, he didn't shoot his father, and obviously he doesn't speak, you know, like that. But there was a kernel of truth, probably the most raw and most intimate piece of his life. He actually managed to write out under an alias, by the way, so he still isn't quite living his true self, but he managed to write it down, and it was electric. Now, unfortunately, all the surface level stuff was effed up, right? It was like the son was like a drug dealer, and the father was like a no good drunk, and you know he was a gangbanger, so it was all like complete stereotypes. But there was like a kernel of truth there.
His story that he written was like the underlining actual story, but it was like packaged together with all that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Which made it sell.
This kind of reminds me a little bit of the Winter Soldier film, right? Where it's technically a Marvel film because it's got, you know, Captain America and shit, but really it's not, right? It is a clear standout in that they just wanted to make an espionage movie, but they added the superhero trappings on top, right? And so it's like, is that okay? You know, is there a moral issue when instead of it's superhero stuff you're adding on top, it's like stereotypical, potentially hateful and mean stereotypes? Is this okay? And I thought it was really interesting. And you were talking about Issa Rae's book. So Issa Rae in the movie, she's kind of kept at a distance for the bulk of the film until one scene where Issa Rae and Jeffrey Wright's character have a one-on-one. And he's like, "Why do you write this? Why do you..." Essentially asked, why you for these white people? Like, what the hell? And she's like absolutely offended. She's like, "That is not what I'm doing. I'm writing a book that, one, will sell, and two, has truth in it." She was like, "First of all, did you read the book?" And he was like, "Well, no, I just read excerpts." And she's like, "Okay, that's your first problem. Okay, and your second problem is this book had truth in it. I did real interviews with real people, and yeah, I jazzed it up, but that's why it's fiction, right? It's a fiction book. But there is truth. My truth is still in this book. It's just put in a package that is palatable for a wide white audience, right?"
Yeah.
And this was something that even at the time, after the conversation was over, Jeffrey Wright could not understand. Why would you do that? You know, until again, his back was against the wall and he had to do it himself. And Issa Rae brought up a good point. It's a fiction book. The book is fiction. The parts that I know are fiction are not the parts that white people know are fiction, right? White people love the slang, they like the music, they like the do-rags, all the completely offensive garbage, right? They think that's real. They think that's real and that's raw, you know, when in reality, that's actually the bullshit. That's actually the fiction part, right? And it's like, is this the author's job to tell you which parts of this are fiction and which parts of this are real? And I thought that was a really good debate. There's a really popular debate that goes on even today with movies and books and stuff like that. It's the debate is known as death of the author. Like, let's say you wrote a book. After your book is out, what happens to the author? Does the author still have a say in the book, or is the book now the audience's book, right? Therefore, therefore the author dies.
How one person of one gender or one race in one time and one place reads Macbeth will be read way differently than how someone else in completely different circumstances will read it. Same with who writes it. And this is a huge shortcoming of Death of the Author in general. It assumes that all people from all backgrounds have equal opportunity. They don't. And that all texts have equal opportunity for exposure based on the merit of the text. They don't.
Right. And Issa Rae seems to believe in the death of the author thing. It's like, look, I did my part. You bought the book. You liked it. I made the art. Now, how you want to interpret it? If you want to read some effed up stuff, that's up to you. You know what I'm saying? That's not my intention, but, you know, that's up to you. But some people, obviously George Lucas is a big one, does not believe in death of the author. He is always trying to redo all his Star Wars movies and update it and change things. And no, Han Solo shot first. No, Greedo shot first. You know, XYZ. Obviously, J.K. Rowling is a big one. Where
I was just about to say that.
Never shuts up. And as she seems to be actively messing up her books. Just about every streaming service you've ever seen that will re-edit and remove scenes, take in scenes on TV shows after the fact. They don't believe in this death of the author thing. So I was like, I've never, not to my knowledge, seen a movie acknowledge this whole death of the author debate, except for one that comes to my top of mind. And that is Spike Lee's Bamboozled. Have you seen this film?
No.
In Bamboozled, I forget which lane it was, but he is like a TV executive or something like that. And he's a black TV executive and none of his stuff is selling. So he makes a literal minstrelsy show, like with like tap dancing and blackface and, you know, the jazz hands. And it blows up. It is the biggest thing in the world, right? And he's like, is this okay? And by the end of the film, not only does he think that it's okay, but he can't see what's wrong with the minstrelsy show. He no longer has the ability to see like what's effed up about it. It's a very provocative movie, and it's very, very similar to American Fiction. If that movie hadn't come out 30 years before this movie, I think American Fiction would have been like a freaking revolutionary. But because it is so similar to Bamboozled, it's not quite as cutting edge as I would have liked it to be, but I still liked it a lot. That's not a knock on the film. So what's really interesting too, and this goes uncommented on, this is just something for you, the audience, to think about later. Our main character, we're calling him Monk, but that was not his name. His name is Thelonious. And we learned that he got the name Monk because his mother called him My Little Monkey, right? Which is also kind of like effed up. You know what I mean?
I was hearing that in my mind as she kept saying, she's like, "Is that my little monkey?" I was like, "Oh."
But obviously that comes from a place of love, and he knows that she's not saying something effed up. So I'm like, is he unaware that he is essentially all the time, like going by the name Monk? You know, when we actually see his interior life, like his everyday home life, he has a maid, and the maid is a stereotypical mammy type character. She literally wears the apron in every single shot, right? And she's like making dinner and sandwiches, and he also seems to be completely unaware of how troublesome that image is, and just because it's commonplace in his life. The closest we get to the movie commenting on that is the stereotype hurtful if there's truth in it? Now, the movie concludes correctly that yes, it's still hurtful, right?
Still hurtful.
But he is so unaware of his own surroundings that, you know, he essentially is, in a bizarre way, living a life not too dissimilar from the fictional one that he made up in his book.
His book is going to be turned into like a film,
a movie,
and
right?
And Adrian Brody, he plays this movie exec, and he's like, we gotta have something like, big, pizzazz, and
he plays a movie executive whose next project is called Plantation Annihilation. And like, we don't get a lot of details on this film, and we don't need it because we're just like, oh my God, what the hell? That is awful. And so I think the movie's trying to say there is a difference when black people tell that story versus white people.
Yes, because the way that he even pitched it was like the ghosts of the slaves come back and kill everybody that's on the plantation. Right. Everybody in my audience was cracking up like, oh my God. He goes through these 3 certain scenarios on how to end the story where he is like accepting this award as Stag Lee. He either leaves it just blank and open when he's accepting this. He's like, I got the truth to tell. I got something to tell you. And then that's it. And he's like, I don't like that. Or he goes and apologizes to the woman that he loves for being a person that's not himself, And then there was like, oh, that seemed like more a romantic comedy, and we're not trying to get into that. Or you end it where the FBI comes and shoot this Stag Lee guy down for being a fugitive, and that's the one they go with because it's the most entertaining.
That's when they go with in the movie within the movie. But
within the movie, yes.
In the actual movie, we don't actually know how it ends. We don't know. Yeah. The movie never, like I said, so the movie never actually gives you a nice, neat solution to this very interesting problem. And the closest you get to a clean ending is him looking at that slave and then just waving. Like, seems to come to a realization that life is much more complicated than he thought. And so, like, that made me think about myself, because I feel like I am very much like Jeffrey Wright's character in the beginning of the film.
I was thinking that.
I avoid these slave movies. I avoid black pain movies like the plague because I can't stand them.
And we consciously made a choice not to see Till that came out last year.
Among many other bullshit films. I've consciously been like, I'm not even going to mention this to Tyrone. We are not going to watch that. And I still stand by that position, and I still don't think I ever will change on that. But that is a point of privilege, right? I am lucky in that I don't need to watch these movies to eat. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to do it. But that's not the position that everyone is in. So things are a little bit more complicated than that. But one thing that I wish the movie did talk about is, why do white people like seeing black people like this? Why? And I guess in the film, it's really not, it's kind of like with racism in general, it's technically not our problem, right? It's not our issue. White people have the issue. They're the ones being racist. They're the ones that need to fix this.
That was the conversation that Issa Rae and then was having. She was like, it seems like you have an issue with white folks. And
so why are you yelling at me? Right, exactly. So I guess that's the reason why we don't get a neat answer on it, because it's actually not any of our main characters' position to answer that question or to try to resolve that question. That's homework for white people to do. But I am fascinated, and I do think about it a lot. Why do white people like seeing black people in these like reductive roles? My personal theory, this goes to what I was saying before. I know that I do have a certain level of privilege to be able to say this kind of stuff virtually consequence-free. It won't affect my money at all. I think some white people like the idea, they feel comfortable in the idea that there's always someone beneath them. Right. They're like, yeah, my life sucks. Yeah, I'm poor, but damn, at least I ain't black. I think they find comfort in that. And they feel very uncomfortable when they're confronted with the reality that that's not actually the case. You're not any better. These black people are literally on the exact same level as you are. And so I think that makes them uncomfortable, which makes them not want to interact with that kind of media. You mentioned that your crowd was almost all black, which totally proves my point. Now, I'll be honest, I'm in Brooklyn, and which has been gentrified hard as hell. So I had a very diverse crowd. But it wouldn't surprise me if most theaters were all black for that exact reason. I don't think white people feel very comfortable with the idea that black people are equal, because then that just means your life sucks, period. Instead of, well, at least I'm not black. You know, they can't add that little bit thing on the end. So I think some white people are not comfortable with that.
This film coming out a little bit later, probably the next couple months, called The Magical World of Negroes or something. With
I had that trailer come on before this movie.
Yeah.
The wave of on my crowd was crazy. Like,
yeah, bro. They was like, God, this name.
For those who don't know, obviously a magical Negro is a character, that a very common character. And that character's role is to appease or help the white main character. And so in the trailers for the magical world of magical Negroes or whatever it's called, this whole society, all they do is to appease white people.
White folks comfortable. Because having white folks is uncomfortable, it causes chaos and stuff like that. So
well, when they get uncomfortable, they start shooting. You know what I'm saying? So things get kind of scary. You know what I'm saying? So like,
the only time black folks is safe is when white folks is disarmed. And this letter had the desired effect of disarming white folks.
Their whole role is to calm them down, ease them into soft comfort, you know. But isn't that the definition of like? Isn't that like the movie? You know what I'm saying?
Yo, I hope they mention that in the film. So you know,
I am curious about that too. I'll be honest with you, I'm probably not going to see that film because I don't even want to find out. I'm like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. But that's interesting. That's interesting that you brought up, and it's really interesting within the context of this film. Is like, is this okay? Because without a doubt, these images and these kind of stories do 100% hurt people. They hurt black people. They hurt white people. They are reductive across the board. So anyway, the movie it starts a really interesting debate, and a debate that I had even within myself, and I like that a lot. And the fact that it didn't give you an answer keeps the debate going, right? It doesn't. I don't have to. I can't say like, well, the movie got this wrong in the end. I can't say that because it didn't answer it, right? Because without that clean answer, a lot of people might get the wrong thing from this film. But at the same time, is that the director's problem? I don't know. and that's really interesting. Fascinating stuff. The movie does something really interesting in that it name drops Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
It's like
shit.
There's one gay bar and it's full of college kids. One of them asked me if I was Tyler Perry.
I mean, Tyler Perry lives in Atlanta, right?
Fuck you.
Tyler Perry has often been accused of this same thing, of leaning into hurtful and hateful stereotypes to make money. I mean, I'm from Atlanta. You live in Atlanta. Tyler Perry freaking owns like a big chunk of the city.
Sure.
And he bought it by making fun of your mom, by making fun of my mom. And not only that, black people supported him. So that's very interesting. That's like a fascinating thing to think about. Tyler Perry has written other stuff, and he's starred in other things. But that's not what he's known for. If black people like that, is this like an internalization of like white supremacy, or is there something more nuanced that I'm not thinking of? Fascinating. I love movies that make you think, that make you confront potentially your own biases, that make you accept ideas, may not accept them, but make you listen to ideas that you might not otherwise agree with. And it's kind of a shame that I'm confident in the real world, just like your theater, most white people won't see this film. But they will go out to see the next slave film. And that makes me sad. Yeah. There's a freaking Trayvon Martin movie coming out, and like,
that's Ava DuVernay, right?
Yeah, I don't want to see that shit at all. So like, a lot of the issues that this movie brings up are very relevant, at least for me. And I love that. That's really good. It's like someone like reached into my brain and debated a thought I had. And I really like that. And they did not preach. They did not give me an answer.
No.
Love that. It was just thought-provoking.
Open-ended.
Just like within the film, they're talking about the ending has to feel punchy. You know, it's got to feel solid, a good solid ending. And we did not get that here. So I bet a lot of people have a problem with the ending. But I'll be honest, I did too at first. But after chewing on it, I actually think they nailed it.
But more importantly, do you like this film? Have you seen American Fiction? Please get in the comments and let us know what you thought.
I am totally cool, if it's not obvious, with debate. Actually, I really love it. As long as you're not a dick about it. If you're a dick, you're going to get the block button and you're going to get deleted. And I mostly just fine with that. But if you're cool and you want to debate, you want to talk it out respectfully, hell yeah, I invite that. I encourage it.
And just remember, you're on mostly wrong opinions.
Exactly.
That's the whole point.
It's like an opinion. Do you see the
It's going to be huge.
Thank you so much for clicking on this video. We really do appreciate you guys, man. We've been having a ball. Our subscriber count's going up. You guys been talking to us. You guys actually miss us when we go on a break for a little bit. So thank you, you know. But if you're new to seeing our faces and you want us, you know, talk more about movies, please get to that subscribe button right at the bottom. Right there. Hit it.
Beautiful song, as always.
As always. And if you liked our video here talking about American Fiction, please hit that thumbs up. It really does help out the channel. Or you can hit that thumbs down, whichever you choose is your opinion. But just remember one thing, it is mostly wrong. See you in another video. Have a dope day.